Does it matter that my camera's a bit like that?
Oh, flipping heck. Why do you ask this as soon as we've started?
Well, because it seems to be a bit pissed on one side. See how cross he gets? You see what he's like just before we start recording?
Well, no, we're recording.
It's him that put the thing up.
Is that better?
Yeah, how to stay married in lockdown. Or how to stay together in lockdown. This was all the conversation we've just been having on what do we actually call it, this one.
I don't know.
How to not break up in lockdown.
I said love in lockdown. She said, what if you're not in love?
Might put people off
If you're
that
in
aren't feeling very loving.
Relationships in lockdown, and then I felt you were suggesting, but what about people who aren't in relationships? And then you sort of...
No, I said marriage. What about people that aren't married? They might think they're excluded.
The whole podcast called How to Stay Married.
I know.
Well, you can't start questioning the word marriage when the whole podcast is called marriage.
Maybe that's what lockdown's done to me. I'm questioning the whole word marriage.
Well, maybe you are questioning our marriage.
So you had loads of comments in on this, didn't we?
Well, we both posted on our Instagram. I mean, it just felt right that we were going to do New Year's resolutions and resolutions in relationships. And that felt not right because we're in such
a bit boring.
We felt boring, and also resolutions are such a boring
now,
word.
So I can't be asked.
I just want to punch the word resolutions in the face. So then we thought, flipping heck, everyone's going through problems. And I have to say, I think I'm going through moments, and I can certainly see that you're going through them, of sudden, unexpected moments of intolerance, as well as sudden moments of extraordinary connection. And so I think it's an opportunity to just air all of that, because I think there are a lot of people out there reading the comments and just looking on social media generally, people you know, people that you hear of and all that kind of stuff. It just feels like there are people out there who we've had to really look at really difficult things, not just about ourselves, but about our relationships. I mean, and it's put a huge microscope over everything. I mean, these are obvious things that I'm saying, but I think we're so busy and we're so distracted, and even like scheduling us having this chat, it's all about getting it done rather than actually, well, hang on, what does this actually mean? How are we being with each other? And so much of our lives is geared towards, if you listen to Confessions of a Modern Parent, so much of how we are and what we do, and almost more so in lockdown because we're with the girls 24/7, is about the girls. And really we're always secondary to how we're worrying about the girls.
Which will resonate with so many people. The reason I keep looking over to the camera is it seems to be moving and we're not moving at all.
What?
Could it be, it seems to be bouncing a little? Could
But there's an inbuilt thing in there. Just stop fixating on the camera.
No, I was worried because then you'd say, get to the end and go, why were you moving? The camera kept moving and I'm like this, I'm as still as anything.
No, I don't know, darling.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, first of all, to go back to where you started, yes, I think every relationship across the country is going to have those moments where you think, I can't take any more, I feel suffocated. But certainly whenever I have those moments, I absolutely understand that it's just a situation, you know, because we've always spent a lot of time together. So I do think that we're at an advantage there. We haven't suddenly been thrown together. Like some people I know, you know, their relationships, they really are passing ships in the night, you know. They get obviously out to work, out very early, coming back late, and then, you know, extra homework, and then sort of maybe catch the news together before they go to bed. And lots of people have that kind of relationship, and they found it incredibly difficult, but also, as we were talking about just before we started this, very rewarding, because actually they've got to know each other a bit better.
Yeah.
And I think we've had a bit of all of that in a way. I think that I've got more gratitude for our relationship. Like even when I have moments when I can't breathe, it's like I say, just because of the situation, but mostly I think a lot, oh my God, I don't know how I would be doing this if I didn't have, you know, somebody that I loved and loved me. I would find this incredibly. And that's why when we do all our lives, you know, on YouTube, and, you know, people that live on their own reach out to us, my heart aches for them, because I think my mind just folds in on myself. You know, if I overthink this, what's going on too much, I get so panic stricken. And yet I think, you know, when we go back to the beginning of this pandemic, and we were coming from it at different angles, and you were watching the news the whole time, and I went into that place where I couldn't bear watching the news. And I think we've kind of like balanced out now, and I think we share the same opinions on what we think should be going on. We have similar kinds of fears, and I think we have pulled together, actually. I do think we've pulled together.
There you go, and that's the end of the podcast.
I do think we've pulled together, definitely, but I do think we have to be mindful about giving each other space.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I know you say that, but at the same time, and I agree. I mean, I couldn't imagine having gone through it. I mean, you know, the biggest thing is that when you're going through issues and huge, genuine worries about your children, to be able to have someone to share that with, and to have someone who can pick up the slack when you can't even fathom an answer, or what the next move is, or what the next thing to say is, or how to, having company is just so important. I mean, I think you said at the end there, the thing of having space. That's a very difficult one, because we are both, I think one of the areas I can see that there's a problem for you with me is that you feel that I am micromanaging or microcontrolling, and you've said it in a few rows, or when there've been moments when we've sort of snapped at each other because things have just, stresses have just overwhelmed us. You've said that, and it's really hurt me when you've said it, and I've thought to myself, okay, well, rather than just being hurt, where's it coming from, and why am I being like that? And part of that, where I look at what I've done and I think about what you've said, where you've gone, oh, for God's sake, I just don't want to be sort of, you're managing everything, is because we do so much work from home. We need so much organisation. We need so much more structure. And by your nature, you are a more chaotic person than me in everything. Everything.
The difference, but that's immediately said like you're right and
no,
I'm wrong.
No, I'm not
and
saying.
It's just, I think the difficult thing about lockdown is respecting more than ever people's different rhythms for life.
Of course.
And we do have a different rhythm, and it's just as bad for me to say, oh my God, but you're just so over-organised and you're voracious. It's like whatever we've got done, there's more you want to get done. But that is and that when I'm talking to myself about these stresses in our relationship, I say just have more acceptance. Just accept more that's Mark, because he's brilliant and you love all these things about him. Sometimes it encroaches just a bit too much into how I want to be, and I part of me being chaotic and part of me being a bit slovenly sometimes is actually what I want to be, and most couples don't spend all their time together making sure that the other person is a bit more of what you are. Do you know what I mean? And we have to both be mindful of that.
I don't want you to be that.
We both have to be mindful of that, because sometimes I understand, oh my God, I mean, I irritate myself. There's no way I could live with myself. No way. And so I always understand it when I'm annoying, and I think you, as likewise, do actually understand when you're annoyed. You know it. You say, oh God, yeah, I am a bloody nightmare.
You lent out a shot.
No, fully in shot. Okay. I'm a bloody nightmare. And I think anyone listening in a relationship, I think when you go to that place of like, oh my God, what believe that, just come back and say, okay, yes, that's annoying, but is the intention bad? Like, is Nadia actually doing this to annoy me, to cause shit here? Or is that part of just her personality? Is that kind of just her essence? And how much do I want to chip the edges off an essence? It's like with you when you're very, very, when you're very manic and you are a workaholic. You are definitely a workaholic. And that is part of what I do love about you as well. Yeah. So I can't have it always. Like sometimes when it's too much, the workaholism, I just have to accept it, maybe suggest to you to just cut it down a bit, but but also let you do whatever you want to do. I think that's the nub of living in lockdown, is that there is no respite from that, is there?
Yeah, I think what you say is important, because I think what happens.
That's really moving the camera. I'm not joking, Mark. It's bouncing up and down.
What?
The camera. This, because it's going like that.
It's not.
It was. Right, you guys, if you've seen this, you know I've said it. It's like a truck goes by and goes, we've got a new selfie stick.
Why would they have sold a selfie stick that waddles?
Okay. All right. I'm not saying anything
It
else.
has to have an inbuilt...
If it's wobbly all the way through,
Well, it
I
might
warn you. This is lockdown. This is kind of lockdown conversation, isn't it? So sorry about that. We had a bit of a nightmare with our selfie stick. But we are now locked and loaded.
Yeah, I think one of the easiest things to do when you're in a relationship is to just blame. And I think, you know, we've been through enough together as a partnership to kind of know that, you know, if something is making you feel, if you're reacting really overtly to me, traditionally, and I think this is just some advice to people in relationships where this is happening, the easiest option is just to say the problem sits outside yourself all the time. It's by far the easiest choice, and we're trying to say this to the girls all the time.
Why are you making me feel this way? Why are you making me...
Or if you're losing your shit with me, or I can sense that you're in a terse mood, or it's easy for me to just think, oh, she's just in a bad mood, you know, it's really important to somehow try and interrogate what it is that you're doing. What did I just say? How have I been this morning? And like we had a morning the other morning where you weren't happy with the way I was. I wasn't happy with the way you were. I kept parking it in you. You kept parking it in me. And then I realized that no, I'd said something about what we were about to do in a way, and I was greeting it in not the right attitude. I was being bar humbug. I was struggling with my own shit. And I think this is one of the difficulties of, because everyone's dealing with their own shit probably at the same time a lot of the time, that's when genuine problems creep in, because through no fault of anyone's own is, you know, if I'm having a shit day and I feel very justifiably I'm having a shit day and you're having a shit day, it's very hard to negotiate around each other meaningfully without potentially it flying off the handle.
I think where we go wrong with that is we never say, and to use for an example, yesterday, I had a lot of worry going on in my head with one thing, and there was a lot of noise and there was a lot of sort of stuff going on in the house. And I didn't want to go for this walk to this particular place. I decided that last weekend. Honestly, it's so round our park, and I just decided I wasn't going to go next weekend to the park because it depresses me at the moment with coronavirus. Wherever you go, people are breathing on you. Anyway, so we were going to go for a walk, and then it all got a bit late. And then I said to you, didn't I? Oh, I don't want to go for a walk because I don't want to go to the park. And I felt you get so angry with me. And then I got angry with you because I felt, why can't you just say, oh, okay, I hear you. You don't want to go. But it became something that I'd done to you rather than I needed to do for myself. I needed to not go to the... I suddenly couldn't face the thought of us all piling in the car and going to the park with loads of people. It was too much. It was too overwhelming. And I just wanted you to say, I so wanted you to say, oh, okay, all right, yeah, don't worry. Yeah, I can see that. I can see how you're feeling. And I was upset that you couldn't see how I was feeling and that you were annoyed and felt slighted and felt let down by me. But then afterwards, I was thinking about it. And I was thinking, well, why be annoyed about that? Actually,
yeah,
why does he? Why should he do that? Maybe he's just disappointed that you're not going for a walk.
Well,
why would he put himself in your position?
Well, if I can just give you some more context on that, it came from, it's really interesting. This is just like the Observer advert where you see the skinhead running down the street. I knew exactly that was the assumption you'd made. I was coming from the place of just 24 hours prior, us really connecting and bonding over it, being able to go for a walk on our own together. And I saw it as an opportunity for me and you to peel off from the rest and go for a walk and be on our own together.
Everyone was going to come with us.
No, I know. But your response was so strong, I didn't get a chance because I was looking for some kind of privacy at the sink to sort of whisper to you. I came over so warmly going to go, oh, why don't we just sneak off on our own together? That's what I was going to say. And when you reacted like you did, I was so hurt. I was genuinely hurt at that point. I was so hurt. I was like, oh my God. And
Isn't it funny because I didn't know that at all.
No, and I thought, and as you carried on moving around the kitchen, because we know each other so well, I thought, I know exactly what you're thinking, and I know exactly the narrative that you thought I was going for. And I thought, I've got if I try to correct this now, it's just going to get worse. So I had to back away from even being able to explain where I was coming from. I could see you were struggling. I wanted to give you an outlet.
I just didn't want to go and be with
I was
loads
going to
of people.
separate you away from them. I'd wanted to take us to somewhere that wasn't that park because I knew you were really desperate for somewhere clearer. I knew that it wouldn't be clearer and it would, on balance, be more stressful driving to Seven. So there was so much thought because I could see you were struggling. And then you were quite sort of strong in your response. I literally felt really hurt at that point. I felt like Toffee or Chi-Chi when they've come up for a stroke.
But I think that's what we're talking about. And that is interesting because I didn't know that. But I think I think with all of us, and with all of us with our relationships, we've got to, because we're all hurting anyway, because we are in a global trauma, we've got to accept that sometimes we're getting hurt and it's not really because the other person wants to. No, I'm not saying you.
No, it's just an interesting comparison.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying generally. We can't. Even with friends, people are taking things the wrong way. Right. So much more. Everyone's taking everything the wrong way. Yeah. People are on the edge of their nerves. I mean, I found myself in the last year flaring up about things. Might not necessarily vocalise it. Sometimes I do. And I think, God, there's no way that would have pissed me off in the way that it has. And it's not bloody surprising. I mean, I do think having teenagers as well, and we do another podcast, guys, Confessions of a Modern Parent. And my God, it's been a real outlet through all of this. But I do think, obviously, parents of little ones, exhausting, draining through a lockdown. Can you imagine not being able to focus at all on the relationship?
Oh my God, yeah.
But I think there's a very particular kind of thing that goes on for us with our girls in our relationship with them. And we're so connected, and because they're homeschooled, we have such an intense relationship with them anyway. And they're going through so much in their, bless them, in their little heads. And it just, I spend a lot of my day broken-hearted for them. I mean, yesterday, our eldest was lying on the sofa and she was perfectly happy. She was giggling away, watching one old film after another with her and her friends, at a party, at a park, and all these different locations, packed together, laughing, joking, singing. And I just felt absolutely broken-hearted and I just didn't know where to put it. Yeah. It was just like seeing her when she was a baby and just like, or maybe seeing her starving as a baby and not being able to feed her. I know, it was my stuff.
You were projecting over her like mad,
massively,
I thought. When I was looking at the sofa, I was thinking, she's really happy, but you're not seeing her
I said
as
to her
happy.
afterwards, God, sorry, that was my stuff, it wasn't your stuff.
Yeah.
But I recognised that because it's how I'm feeling all the time. I'm feeling all the time. It's like, But as any parent, it's like, never mind us. Yeah. And I think I do a lot of that. Never mind us. What about them?
No, I agree.
Don't we? We're terrible for that.
But from what I'm hearing and what I see in all the kind of features pages of all the bloody bits and bobs that we read on a daily basis, I see that a lot of women are feeling that men are positioning themselves as the needy child alongside the children. And I'm not suggesting for a minute that isn't the case. I do think it's a bit of a reverse sexism. I think there's an assumption. I think sometimes, and let's not talk about gender specific, but I sometimes think there are things that we need to worry about. There are things that we have to worry about with the kids. And then there are other times where we can actually let them be, or we have to let them be. Yeah. And I think
we do.
And I think maybe for mums, you could argue I hate it when people say this though, because it's not true, but maybe for mums that's a bit more difficult. Maybe for many mums, they prefer, and I think this is a problem for some parents, one part of a couple, they prefer to live through the kids actually than face their relationship. So a lot of distraction happens through the children.
Well, I don't think that's mums. I think that can be both people.
I think
sometimes as well. I mean, I think what happened, we will get to relationship, this isn't the Confessions of a Modern Parent, is that I'm not going to generalise, I'm going to say in our relationship, the girls go to you for lots of fun and to share all their interests and their music and everything, and they come to me with the darkest of their feelings and their stresses and their strains, and I want to be there for them 100%, but sometimes that does impact on how much more I can take on or hear, because say if I've had a lot with the girls of them saying, and I'm broken heart for them, and then you also say, like, I'm feeling really stressed, or I'm feeling really dark, or I'm feeling really down, sometimes I feel so overwhelmed with it, because I think I've got three voices more or less saying a very similar thing. And no, just talking about sometimes, I'm not saying this is all the time.
No.
And sometimes I feel, and this is probably my fault, and I'm not saying anyone makes me do this, but I feel like I have to be the one that doesn't go under emotionally.
I have to say that is a symptom in lots of you don't have to be, and I'm not saying you're doing it for the accolade at all, but you don't have to be the hero in all situations. I don't think
it's about being the hero. I think it's just
No, but you do. I see you
my-
put yourself in the role. It is a role.
Wow, I don't really. I've got no choice. Babe.
Well, no. But there are times. And I think there are. I see it. I mean, I'm giving you my
I
opinion.
mean, we've got daughters. Maybe if there was sons, it'd be different. So I get the female stuff from them, you know. And
Yeah, I get that.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I get that.
It is a lot.
But for example, you would say, I would say to you, you are by your nature a private person with your emotions. I mean, you're an oversharer, but you overshare, and it's curious what you do actually, because you overshare and yet at the same time you don't really
distract
let anyone
from the
in.
fact that I never really say anything.
Yeah, but that in itself presents its own problems, because the girls will talk to either one of us, more often you. I will openly talk about how I'm feeling. Just because you don't openly talk about it, so you've kind of, I'm not saying you're doing it horribly, not at all, but you've kind of put me alongside the girls as the three of us. You feel like you're the one that has to carry it. We're carrying what we can see is going on in you, but you are unwilling to accept, admit, or talk about. And that is a difficult for people around you.
Sure.
And that little exchange that happened at the sink yesterday, that's part of it, because actually you are incredibly closed when it comes to you struggling with something that you're going through, whether it be specific or general. You want to be private, you're like a sort of lioness, you want to go off and sit under the tree, you want to be left alone, you just don't. And yet, you know, we want to return some of what it is you do for us in the very limited socially accepted ways that any family can, and you don't want it. And it's as simple as that, you don't want it. We have to wait for you to come to us, but you will definitely not come to us with the fullness of what is required to make you feel better.
I think a lot of
That's
mums...
so tough.
I think a lot of mums feel like that, and I think,
But they don't have
listening to mums...
Can I just say right now, as a kind of son of a feminist, you don't have to. So I think a lot of women say that as if that's their sort of Boudica kind of moment of, well, that's the lot of a woman. No, it's not.
I didn't say it like that, and I didn't think like that, and I didn't feel it like that. I just think it's what happens. I think it's often just what happens.
I think it needs to stop happening.
And I think where it comes from is, you know, when you have a baby and you're feeding that baby and you learn, because somebody has to do it in a relationship, you get up, you shuffle off, I mean, when I think back to when they were babying, I'd be crying in the middle of the night, breastfeeding, keeping everything quiet, keeping everybody else asleep. It sets something. We can't deny it. It sets something, and you do just. There's a certain amount that you just take on.
Yeah,
you do.
I get that.
And I'm not saying that it's a negative thing, and I'm not saying that it's not something that also women can get fired up about. But I'm saying it's the thing.
It's the
thing.
And
I think in lockdown, for me, it's been highlighted a bit, where I go, okay, I just feel like a bit at the moment I'm going to crack up because I don't know what to do with this stuff that I can't fix for my girls or for my family, and I want people to be, and I can't, because it's not my thing to do, and it's rescuing. I can't make people happy. I can't make these things better. I can't fix these things, and sometimes it's overwhelming. All I'm saying is, sometimes it's just overwhelmed me more so.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, but it's really quite heartbreaking for those around you. And I think this is a more general symptom of you, that what you read or see as obstructive or difficult or downbeat or evasive or mood is sometimes sheer frustration at the fact that it's so palpable and apparent that you're struggling. And it's also frustratingly so apparent you are not going to admit you are. And you are a really, really, and I say this kindly because it breaks my heart, because I want to, I've said it many times before, you will never admit that you're struggling. Even when you're on the floor struggling. You don't.
I think I do sometimes. I don't a lot, but I definitely do sometimes.
Well, I think in this crisis...
And you're all very lovely when I do, and sometimes I will, like, have a few tears and go, I'm finding this really difficult, and I'm in a real state. But I don't do it often.
No, you don't do it often, but I also do think that what happens in relationships is it sometimes suits one part of that relationship, dragging it back away from parenting so much. I think it sometimes suits one part of the relationship to think that they're the one that can't open up about stuff. It suits that person to say and have the narrative and have the reality that actually there's no room for me to be able to do it. I've seen so many women in my life, and it's often women say, oh, there's no room for me to talk like that. Well, hang on, that kind of suits you because... No, but it suits you at times because you don't actually want to make yourself vulnerable.
I choose that because that's what I was like right from a child. I kept stuff secret. I would only ever cry on my own. I had a very shy older sister, and I took on from a very young, and I was very, very close to my older sister, and I took on this role, because it does fascinate me where this comes. You know, who we were as children, what kind of child we were, how our parents were, affects our relationships massively. And it was set into my DNA, it's into my marrow of my bones, that I would take my sister's hand, she'd be a couple of steps behind me, makes me feel emotional, and I would, you know, be brave, I don't want to say brave, because it wasn't that she wasn't brave, she was just shy. She was just a different child to me, and she was shy, and so I would work very hard to not be shy, or to not be, because it used to really upset me, because she was a very gentle person, my sister, when she was a child, and she was sensitive, she felt things very keenly, and she got upset. She reminds me a bit of what Kiki's like, actually. And so I used to feel very protective towards my sister, very protective, and I was just like, and it made me feel better if she felt okay and that she wasn't upset. So I know where this comes from.
Yeah, and I think all of those things are really lovely. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I'm not trying to say that I'm not. What I'm saying is, I hear what I'm like, and I know that's frustrating, and I know where it comes from. And unfortunately, I don't want to change that. If I'm honest, I don't have the willingness to change. No one wants you to.
No, but if I could say something. What I'm trying to say is, none of those things am I saying should change. None of those things am I saying you shouldn't be like. What I am saying is, don't be surprised when you find yourself feeling isolated. You isolate yourself.
No, I know. I'm not isolated.
No, you do. But I do think sometimes, certainly in the relationship side of it, it really hurts me when I feel that you park it on me, when actually I have a very limited range of options to actually reach you. And there's a suggestion that I'm not reaching, and that was a classic case the other day, where actually the narrative here was very, very different.
You seemed angry.
Because of the way you knocked me back, I was hurt. What
I would have liked,
clipped.
and again, this is just to show how relationships, people don't communicate. So this isn't your fault, it's not my fault. It's just a breakdown of communication. Because actually what I would have liked was you to say to me, oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, don't worry, you just stay here, we'll all go out for a walk. That's what I wanted, but I wasn't transmitting that to you. So how did you know that that's what I wanted? Do you know what I mean? So I suppose,
transmitting,
listener,
you definitely wanted to
you
go
might
out
think, God, they're going right off on one here. But actually, if we bring it back to relationships and what goes wrong, is those small things, isn't it? It's a lack of communication. Whereas if I go over that situation again, could I have said to you, oh, can I just have a word? And said to you, listen, Mark, please, can you just, I just feel really overwhelmed, and I can't bear the thought of going to a park with loads of people and blah, blah, blah. Could you just go to the park and take everyone in it? I didn't say that. And why didn't I say that? You know, so I think in a relationship, we forget to ask for what we want. We forget to ask. We forget that that's actually a thing. You know, we forget to say, listen, can I just tell you how I'm feeling? Because we're worried that it might explode, or it might go the other way, or it might be misunderstood. Yeah. So then if you do say it, you might say it a bit more, in a more prickly way than you're feeling, because actually you're feeling defensive because you don't want it to blow up. And I think that little example there is actually a very big example.
It's really good.
What maintaining a relationship is like in the big scheme of a relationship, over a whole relationship, but magnified in lockdown. Massively.
And one of the other things it also highlights is that when you've got all your family all under one roof, as everyone has at the moment, it's very hard to find, and that's why these things happen. It's very hard, even within a big house, to be able to find the space, the timing to kind of have, you know, you can't do it in front of everyone because it's all a bit orcs, isn't it? It's mum and dad are sort of having a, you know, what I wanted to say to you was, look, why don't we just slope off? We were talking about the other day to, you know, we wanted a bit of time on our own, we can't do anything other than walk. You know, it would have been nice to set up all of that. I was hoping it could happen by stealth. So, you know, the other problem that we have to forgive.
It didn't come across like that though. It came like you were angry with me.
I was frustrated, but I was more hurt.
I didn't see hurt at all.
Oh no, I was. Well, I'm saying I was.
No, but I'm just saying it's so
curious
interesting,
because
isn't it?
you were
Because I
unaware
was
of how
hurt.
you'd come across.
I was hurt. You were hurt, and nobody knew the other one was hurt.
And so, I think in lockdown, it's really hard also to have privacy in your relationship or time together, because although you're all together, it goes back to that adage of you can be in a room of crowded people and be very, very alone. I think, yes, I mean, you say it often and you say it all the time about we spend more time with each other than normal, yeah, and that's great, and I think we cope brilliantly with it. But I've also had great swathes of time in lockdown where I felt totally absent from you, because we are 100% geared towards other things. There's always someone around. Even when there was the limited bubble situation, we were constantly trying to think about my mum coming, all that kind of stuff. So that privacy and that ability to be on your own, just because we've all been under one roof.
That's what every relationship in lockdown is like if you've got kids.
Well, yeah, but I think a lot of people are putting themselves under pressure. But some people will be going, but we've been on our own together, and this is, I think that, there needs to be space, but there also, even when you're on top of each other, you're not necessarily with each other. Shall we have a read of some of the comments that have come in? Yes. Quite a lot of them are anonymous. Perimenopausal, pandemic, male midlife crisis, please send me help.
Oh, sweetheart. Oh. If you are perimenopausal, what I would recommend is do go and see your GP or get an online consultants. What am I trying to say? Online appointment. Sorry, I'm so sorry. And also I would check out the menopause charity, because you don't need to be suffering. And I am in a state at the moment, I'm going to talk a bit more about that on our YouTube channel, of thinking, oh my God, I made the most terrible mistake for 8 years. The help I could have gotten, I didn't get it. So yes, I really feel for you, because everything will be exacerbated massively because you're perimenopausal. So I feel your pain, and it is real and it's not fair, and get some help.
Another anonymous, COVID beat us. We ended after 8 months of trying to work during COVID year. Gutted.
Oh.
I mean,
it's so hard. So many relationships
splitting up in lockdown. What do you do on a practical level if you break up in lockdown? Do you have to stay together until after lockdown?
Well, that's a lot of what a lot of people are going through, aren't they?
I mean, unless you're sort of under threat, and that's not to suggest that is a minority of relationships, you're allowed to move out, aren't you, if there's any domestic abuse. I mean, apparently,
pregnancies are just through the floor. Just people aren't having sex.
They're not? No. I thought, because everyone said there was going to be a baby boom.
No, it's gone completely the other way. I think people are so stressed, so worried.
Right.
In tracksuits so much, and just overeating and over drinking, and actually people's sex lives have been massively impacted.
I think one of the, I am going to give myself a pat on the back here. I do think because, if you have any large part of a household that doesn't drink, it automatically influences, in a sense, the household.
Oh, God, massively.
And
if we were both drinking, we'd have been drunk every night of this pandemic.
What a sense of fucking chaos it would have been in it.
Oh, it would have been awful.
And the kids, and how would it have been? There would have been sparks of moment where it would have been stupid. All kids find their parents entertaining when they're drunk.
One drink. They're entertaining. 2 drinks, it starts to get scary for them, because they start to change too much.
Exactly. Well, another anonymous, all the bad habits seem to be more irritating than usual, especially his snoring. I know about that one. I have slept in every conceivable room during lockdown, including the bath. I mean, it's got ridiculous.
I go to bed now. I
you
go
fall
into
asleep
a state
like
of
that.
Anxiety.
But you fall asleep.
Because I know that I keep Mark up.
Well, no, and I'm pleased that it doesn't.
And I feel so bad about it.
I know. Well, you're not staying with anxiety
really
when
do.
you fall asleep.
Last night I kept waking up going, oh my God, I can hear myself snoring. I was just, because it would drive me mad if I was you.
Another anonymous. It's interesting, of all the podcasts we've ever done, this is the one with the majority of anonymous. It's been really hard at times to stay connected. Entire days can go by with no real conversation. That must be hard. I mean, we talk constantly. And yet, there are some times when you're not talkative. I mean, you're much more of a talker than me. I could sit with silence much more comfortably than you.
Oh no, I love silence.
And since you've had these AirPods, but you need noise in the background. You can be silent.
I'm listening to things.
No, I know. But you have your AirPods in. You have John Campbell.
You've never known anyone so jealous of a pair. This man can be jealous of earpods.
I'm not jealous of AirPods.
Mark, you're jealous of those AirPods.
You're not even hearing what I'm saying. When you've got them on, it's the most silent in the house. It's when I go to bed.
Oh, you've got those earpods in again.
When I'm in bed and I'm wooing you.
This is classic lockdown irritation.
I'm in bed and I'm tickling her arm.
Will you stop?
Tickling her arm, and she's laughing, and John Campbell's in her ears.
Carry on.
Another anonymous. Never truly understood what a narcissist was until lockdown. It's so draining.
I mean, that's the other thing. I can think of one particular friend of mine
Anonymous.
who we all know, the other group know, that her partner is an absolute pig.
Oh.
Right? Vile. And yet, all through their marriage, she has distracted herself away from actually seeing what he was like.
Right. And now it's full face, full
and
frontal.
Week 2 of lockdown, the first lockdown, after I think about 18, 19 years of marriage, she said, I can't stay with him another minute.
Oh.
Because,
Wow.
going to the shops, going here, going to see a friend, going to the gym, actually just living with somebody.
That's what she was doing to avoid it.
Yeah. And and then it was
Makes
like,
you
oh
wonder how
my
much-
God, what we've all known forever. She
Yeah.
suddenly saw it. The denial and the kicking it away suddenly came to the forefront. And I know lots and lots of people are going through that. Like whoever that was, you've always known deep down that your partner was a narcissist, but you've distracted away from it, and now you're faced with it, petrified.
It's something quite worrying. I mean, we've talked a lot about. I mean, I talked the other day to the girls about God. This lockdown has made you realise that you can count on 2 hands the things that we do as humans in our lives. And I'm not saying that those things aren't rich and rewarding. They are, but it's it really strikes me when they do the list of these are staying open, these are staying shut, and you go, oh, is that all we actually do as humans? Drink, eat, travel,
Gym,
cinema,
theatre. Hairdresser.
Yeah, and hairdresser, and you sort of, it's literally, the whole crisis has distilled the lot of a human.
And a little circuit that
And
we
the little
have.
circuit that we do all the time. And yes, what that comment about discovering your partner's a narcissist, how much of what we do on a daily basis is about distracting us from not facing the horrors of reality, the truths, the fact that actually maybe we should get out of this. Another anonymous is maybe worried that we don't have anything in common anymore.
Again, because of the distraction outside of, and that's why I have felt blessed, because we always spent a lot of time with each other. I think it's been incredibly hard for people that have that passing ships in the night sort of relationship to actually, but the good thing is lots of people have rediscovered their relationships.
Well, there's someone here who's not anonymous. Smile and learn with Mrs. B. We were saying this weekend we miss grown-up time, just going out, a few drinks and friends. Yeah, I know. Another anonymous, driving me bonkers. Little things seem huge and big things seem like nothing.
Yeah.
Anonymous, I feel like I have nothing to bring to the conversation with working from home. Here's a good one. Claire OC6.
That's interesting. I feel like I have nothing to bring to the conversation.
Yeah, because the
Because
outside
a
stimuli.
relationship is an ongoing conversation, isn't it, for the rest of your life, if you're married and you're staying together for the rest of your life. And it is, it's tricky that if there's nothing going on.
What's
it's very
annoying
hard.
you more now about me than that wasn't annoying you as much before? Because someone here says, I'm going to keep you anonymous just for your sake. Currently, even his breathing is annoying me.
No, the same things annoy me. You are actually less stressful in many ways in lockdown than you are out of lockdown. You're easier to live with in lockdown. It's funny.
So you're dreading coming out of lockdown.
The only thing that that my main thing that has always been with you, like all the way through our relationship, is, and there was a bit of that yesterday, and it was like, wow, this feels so massive. This is the thing I've never liked about you, but yesterday it felt so massive when you did it, was when you sulk. And actually, there was a whole conversation going on about this the other day about sulking, and I think because a lot of more people are sulking in lockdown, because what is sulking? Sulking is like trying to suppress a whole load of emotions that are going on, and you kind of want to tell the person what's going on, but you can't. You're kind of like, you're muted. That's what a sulk is. If you think from the smallest child right up, it's trying to get the attention to say, I'm struggling with and I want you to notice this, and I want you to work it all out without me saying anything. And that's what sulking is, and it's my least favourite thing in anybody. And I think everybody's probably sulking more in lockdown than they did before. But you haven't. But you reminded me of it yesterday.
So you're dreading us coming out of lockdown by the sounds of it.
No, why does everything have to be so binary with you?
Well, no, that's just curious.
looks
You've
like, so now
got
you're dreading
better in
coming-
lockdown. I'm looking forward to coming out of lockdown. I tell you what, no, it's interesting.
But listen to the way that you hear that. You don't hear that and go, oh, that's interesting. Let me think about that, because maybe that's something I can take forward when we come. You go, oh, she's dreading going back to being a pain in the arse after lockdown.
An interesting byproduct of it for me, and that's why I love the hoodie that we were given the other day that says, was it socially distant? Is that I don't want to be as socially distant. I do feel that this has been the great sort of, on that sort of social anxiety front, equaliser. Yeah, exactly. I think everyone's coming from a similar place. Everyone's been astute and clever with how they've, or not, with how they've dealt with the crisis. Everyone's coming out of it, trying to kind of look for new ways forward, new pearls of wisdom, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I just sort of feel, yeah, come on, let me at it. So it's funny, isn't it? That's been a sort of reversal for me. This is a difficult one. The last one, anonymous. Found my hubby was having an affair in February 2020. Then lockdown happened. Guess what? We've grown closer.
Oh.
Curious, isn't it?
Oh, I love that story.
That took us on a up, down and around.
You found out you'd had an affair in February 2020, and then you've worked through it in lockdown because you weren't given any options.
So you've had an opportunity to look at why that affair possibly happened.
Wow, love that.
That's kind of a curious one, isn't it?
I love that.
Do you want to know what I find?
That would be a really good topic on this, women.
Do you want to know what I found more annoying about you?
Yeah, I was going to say to you, and what's my most annoying thing in lockdown?
I think it's the sound of you eating.
Oh, God.
And also the fact that you,
My
however
eating and
many
my
times
snoring.
I've said it, you still call us from other rooms.
Well, I'm not going to change that.
Please.
No,
I'm begging of you.
I can't.
Why?
Because sometimes I'm fucking
You want
knackered when I stood
steps.
there cooking. I
You
don't
want
want to
steps.
go all the way upstairs. I want to go, dinner's ready. I
It's
am
not
always
about
going to
that.
shout,
Babe, we're
dinner
not
is
ta-
ready.
Dinner is ready is a totally justified shouting.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Have you seen my glasses? Have you got this?
Mark, you
Can
do it
you help
yourself.
me with this? No, I don't
Right,
call
we better
you
go
from
because we're going to have an
anywhere.
argument
I don't
now.
call you from another
Anyway,
room
how to
ever.
stay married in lockdown. What do we know about it?